The Chiefs are gearing up for some big changes on their defense. Come the tag and what's coming after. Let's talk about it right now. Whoa, there's been a lot going on, right? The combine is over. All the data's coming in. I've got a ton of work to do. But the Chiefs have made a lot of interesting decisions lately, and we got to start talking about them. I'm trying to keep up with all the news and all the changes that are going on, but bear with me. Today, we're going to talk about the pass rushers and this tag and trade mentality that seems to be going on. So, if you're new around here, welcome to the channel. I'm Ryan, and this is Ryan Going Rogue. This is my take on the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs in particular. I hope you enjoy what you're seeing. If you do, hit that subscription, hit the bell notification, leave your comment below, and give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. For all of you that are returning, man, it's been an interesting week, right? The combine went off. A lot of attention. Talked to several guys that were down there. I did not make the trip, but a lot of interesting things happened while we were there. And Brett Veach was one of them. Had a lot of talking to do about players that they're into, players that they're interested in keeping, and how they're going to keep them.
Listen, Justin Houston's a great player, and our deal is to obviously acquire and maintain as many great players as you can. And I think this time of year, I'm no different than any other GM standing on the podium. There's 32 teams here, and every coach is here, every personnel member is here, and we're staying in the same hotel. So there's a lot of dialogue, and I think right now we're just in the process of just collecting information and working with what we have, and then kind of leave here and then get together again and discuss and see what we can do to make our team better.
And what ended up happening just after the combine concluded, honestly, as the teams were on the way home or probably had gotten there, the tag deadline came down. And what the Chiefs ended up doing is putting Dee Ford on the franchise tag for 2019. So Dee Ford's going to make $15.4 million on this franchise tag, and it's just set the way that it is in the CBA. It's an average of the top 5 players, and there's no negotiating or anything about that. The only negotiations that go on, and I think it's till July 15th, is the still possible extension that they could do if they chose to. But that said, it's not just that they put him on the tag, it's that they did a couple of interesting things. And first and foremost is that it's non-exclusive, which means he can go negotiate, or more importantly, his people, his management, can go negotiate with other teams. Now, this hasn't happened in a long, long time. I don't expect it to happen here. But if they did reach an agreement for a contract with another team, what they could do is give that sheet, an offer sheet to Ford. If he accepts it, they can then match that salary offer and retain Ford for the 2019 season. If they decline to, the team that wrote the offer then owes the Kansas City Chiefs 2, not 1, but 2 first-round picks. And that is a hefty cost. And that's why I don't think it's in the cards for Dee Ford to get that particular kind of offer. But that's just the start of it. That's where Brett Veach started. Apart from Dee Ford, and we're going to get back to the rest of the mechanics about Dee Ford here in a minute. They also let it out that Justin Houston is on the trade block. They are taking offers, and apparently they are getting offers. There is interest in Justin Houston as a trade. And that's very interesting because it allows the Chiefs to offload his salary. They will eat some dead money. I think about $6.8 million is what it's going to come down to. So that's definitely a dent in the pocketbook, but it doesn't hurt the cap. It allows Justin Houston to play elsewhere, honestly, I think he's a better scheme fit than what we're going to see out of this classic look, more defensive end than outside linebacker look that Steve Spagnuolo is going to run. And the differences aren't very drastic, especially when you're running in the nickel, but there still are some. So I think it could be a good thing for Justin Houston. If they can't find a trade partner, it sounds like they're going to move on from him as well with a release. That probably won't happen for a little bit. Despite the rumors that it's already on the table, it's not. But eventually, I think the Chiefs are going to move on from Justin Houston this season one way or the other. With a trade, they get something out of it. He gets something out of it. If he has to hit the open market, I don't know that he'll get that $15 million salary. He might get close, but I think he will take a pay cut that way. But he will get more guaranteed money because a deal for him to sign will probably be multiple years, and that may increase the guarantee for him. So there's a chance that that happens and that he's going to be amicably taken care of wherever he lands. But that's just one side of it. You would think that that was enough, but it wasn't. Because the Chiefs decided then to let it be known that Dee Ford is also available for trade. And that's the really interesting part of this. You know what the market's going to be for Justin Houston. You might get a trade out of it, but you're probably going to move on no matter what. But then you go over here and you tell Dee Ford, hey, we might trade you as well. That's taking what was the best pass rush in the NFL. 52 sacks led the league last season. Taking the best pass rush in the NFL and knocking out 2/3 of it in one offseason. That is a recipe that can lead to disaster. So that tells me that the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, and Brett Veach in particular, that triumvirate has a plan. And if it does come down to that, they're going to go in a specific direction. I will talk about that direction here probably in another week when we get closer to free agency actually starting. The tampering period begins the 11th and 13th. All the leashes come off, and you'll see that race start in earnest. That said, we're going to talk about the safeties, Eric Berry, and who he might be playing with in the next video, so keep an eye out for that. But the interesting thing about the trade option for Dee Ford is that it has a little more mechanics to it. He can't just be traded. He's got to sign that franchise tag and accept the terms of it. Unlike Le'Veon Bell last year, who decided not to sign it, and that's why he was out all season. Dee Ford has to agree to the franchise tag, and then he can be traded. Usually you're going to see some of that come into play where the agent and the team work out that, hey, you can start negotiating, you can start trying to find a team if he's willing to sign the tag. And if that comes to pass, there is an outside chance, if it happens quickly, that they might retain Houston. Because, again, getting rid of 2/3 of your pass rush, of your performance pass rush, is a really tall order unless you have a very solid plan. Now, Chris Jones isn't going anywhere. In fact, Chris Jones is beginning to get talked about getting a contract extension. I think this offseason it probably won't happen because they have to get Tyreek Hill done, and it seems that the Chiefs agree that they're in a rush to get Tyreek Hill done. There are other contracts coming that could then up his cost, so I think that may not be true for Chris Jones. So I think you can wait a little bit on Chris. Chris is going to get his money. Chris is going to be a happy guy. It's not going to be a problem, but you got to get Tyreek Hill done. And so that part of the immediacy says, well, we need a little bit of space. Maybe we can get that, but they have to come up with a way to replace Houston and Ford if they go. Now, again, I think one of them ends up playing in Kansas City this season. I don't know. It's kind of far-fetched for them to release or trade both of them, but that's what's on the table this week. So, very, very interesting. They will have to look in free agency because they're not in a position in this draft class to get an elite pass rusher. Unless they get a bounty in a trade that gives them enough draft capital to move up into the top 10. And I think the top 10 is what it's going to take to get one of the 3 or 4 elite pass rushers that you could put on this team and really let them flourish. Because at the end of the day, you have Breeland Speaks and you spend a second-round pick on him. He is more at home playing a defensive end than a stand-up linebacker, and I think that's going to help him quite a bit. So I think the Chiefs are putting their eggs in his basket somewhat, and with Tano Passanio as a possible backup, don't know that for sure, but there's got to be another acquisition, either in free agency or definitely in the draft. Those options are going to materialize a little bit more as we see what happens in free agency, so I'm going to hold off on that for now. But next video up, talking about the safeties, some interesting things, both tag and free agency wise there. So look for that in a couple of days. Let me know what you guys think. If you had your choice, do you keep Justin Houston? Do you keep Dee Ford? Do you keep both of them? Or do you trade both of them and try to get as much draft capital as you can? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will try to make sure that I get back to everyone this time. It's been a very hectic season, so I appreciate the patience. But That's really the question what it comes down to. How much are the Chiefs reforging this defense right now, today, as we speak? Want to know what you guys think? Thanks for checking out the channel. I will have a little preview of the Rogue Analytics Athletic Matrix. That's coming with the draft data, so look out for that as well. And I'll be back next time. Thanks for watching me today, and I'll talk to you then.